Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Andrew Moran, Graham Noble, Dave Patterson, and Scott Cosenza. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. The Midwest has been warned. You may experience rolling blackouts in the hottest of summer months. A long, dark summer appears to be on the horizon due to the destructive energy policies of the Biden bunch. How on earth did we get here? Easy. The U.S. lost 12.6 gigawatts of energy when Mr. Biden declared war on coal and closed coal-fired electric plants. Why, pray tell, did these plants get the heave-ho? Oh, Dave, what has the president done to our Midwest friends?
Well, not been kind. The Biden administration is patting themselves on the back because they've closed coal-fired power plants. Now, this is the epitome of delusional self-congratulations by a calcified intellect, if ever there was one, for doing absolutely nothing to address the weather. You know, by most standards, the U.S. has 75 coal-fired power plants, and there are no more being built, nor are there any planned. But by contrast, the European Union has 468 and building 27 more for a total of 495. India has 589 and building 446 more for a total of 1,035. And our favorite China, the annual recipient of the Global Good Citizen Award, has 2,363 coal-fired power plants. And they have plans to build 1,171 more. Let's face it, our 75 existing plants, representing about 1.3% of the total new plants, is paltry by comparison. And, you know, you're right. A significant number of coal-fired power plants are being shut down or switching to natural gas. And when you look at it, you know, the Biden administration's rush to make living in America as miserable experience as possible is gaining momentum. And brown and blackouts will be just the beginning. Here in Tennessee, we're pretty fortunate in that we have the Tennessee Valley Authority and nuclear power. And quite frankly, we recommend that to all the states.
Well, that's interesting that you brought up nuclear power. And Andrew, I can hear you chomping at the bit. But, you know, a large nuclear power plant went out just, I think, last month. And the reason it did is decrepit. It's 50 years old, you know. But of course, we stopped building new ones. Why? Because of all the environmentalists. Go ahead, Andrew. I'll let you pick it up.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Mark on the radio the other day, he said it best. He said that Joe Biden had one job to do, and that was to keep the lights on.
This is Mark Angelides, our managing editor, who also does Liberty Nation Radio. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, he said that Joe Biden had one job to do, and that was to keep the lights on, and he can't even do that. But yeah, the whole energy infrastructure, it's decrepit. You know, you talk about the nuclear power plants. Yeah, that's terrible. We look at the refineries too. The refinery infrastructure is also deteriorating, and not only is it deteriorating, many of them are coming offline. You look at the East Coast. The U.S. East Coast has 9 refineries, and that's it. Nationwide, they're about 100. So everything there's a crisis going on every front of the energy file, and it's not improving whatsoever. Not only that, the green energy that a lot of these states embrace, you know, Texas, for example, they have 20% of their power grid comes from wind and solar. That is obviously not efficient. And one thing I find funny about progressives and leftists is say that, oh, you know, green energy is going to help fight climate change and all that stuff. And, we're going to have, 100-degree Fahrenheit days for the coming decades. But green energy can't even sustain homes under these terrible conditions. Another thing, too, when it comes to energy production has not even returned to pre-pandemic levels yet. So when you have demand rising, which a lot of the EIA and the IEA say is happening, production and supply is not meeting that whatsoever. So everyone's talking about the summer, but I think the real crisis is going to happen in the winter time. Because I don't know if you guys look at the EIA storage report every week for oil, natural gas, distillate, diesel, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I watch it every week. I look at that.
I have it on my television constantly.
Well, if you look at the numbers, production and injections, only the last few weeks, there's been a decent number of natural gas injections. But when it comes to diesel, when it comes to crude oil, when it comes to gasoline, that has all been declining. The withdrawals have been increasing. And now when you actually go into cooling demand season in the summer, those numbers are going to deteriorate. And then when you head into the winter, there's not going to be much supply left to help keep the lights on. So I think everyone's talking about the summer. Winter is my trajectory of when the real crisis begins.
Well, but
it takes a lot more energy to heat a house in the north of this country through the winter than it does to cool a house in Texas, by the way. And I know it takes 1.21 gigawatts of electricity to propel a DeLorean through space and time, but I don't know the 12.6 number, what that actually means. But one thing is Biden, for the last, 20 years before he became president of the United States, was arguing for greater and greater energy prices for anything approaching fossil fuels. And also, if you had a nickel to invest in something, why would you invest in a refinery that may be taken offline by the president through some kind of regulation? You get no help there for any investment. And meanwhile, all the renewables, as you say, Andrew, are priced out of the marketplace. So,
and then we look at refinery capacity. Refinery capacity is already a maximum. Biden the other day said that the government may impose emergency powers to ensure these refineries are at max capacity. Well, guess what? Because how high energy prices are and how few refineries are, they're already at full capacity. So what the heck is this administration talking about when a refinery is already full? And then one more thing too. When it comes to diesel, the East Coast, there's already talk that they're going to have rationing of diesel because how inventories are declining. And if you have $6 diesel, I mean, this is just a disaster and the real emergency happening on the Eastern Seaboard.
Graham, I don't know about you, but I do think with lightning speed, we have gone from energy independence to just a holy mess on the energy front. And maybe you can answer this for me, but I don't see the logic in this climate change business, because if we're not making the energy here, but we're seeking it from places like Saudi Arabia and Russia, why is it okay for them to have, non-favorable green policies, but we have to? I mean, it's still coming from somewhere on the planet, right?
Yeah. Well, of course, none of this really makes any sense. The whole idea that, we're on some kind of drive to save the planet here is complete nonsense. I mean, we're now, we're getting more and more energy from countries that have, as far as I understand, the United States has among the highest, if not the most strictest environmental policies, environmental regulations governing our production of energy. And so the very idea that we're somehow trying to save the planet, but at the same time, we're relying more and more for our energy on countries that do far less to help the environment than we do is nonsense. And of course, the entire this entire green energy thing and this entire climate change / global warming, or as the rest of us call it, weather. This is all about control. It's all about controlling the economy in general. And it's all about controlling people's lives, because of course, if you don't have fuel, you can't drive around, you're no longer independent. People literally can't move around the country. I'm just wondering what we see first in the Midwest. Do we see first the pickup trucks towing the electric cars that can no longer be charged? Or is it going to be the electric cars towing the pickup trucks because the power's off and so therefore you can't pump any gas? Going to be interesting to see who wins out with that one.
I find that funny too, is that the administration says, hey, go buy yourself a $50,000 electric car. But imagine if the whole country drove electric cars, the power grid would not be able to sustain everyone driving these EVs. What the heck?
Well, not only that, but now that we have gone to having our military vehicles all being electrified, think of the negotiating capability it will require for our enemies to agree to have charging stations so that we can move forward into their land.
I didn't even know about that, Dave.
Wow.
Yeah. What year is the military supposed to go all electric by, Dave?
2035. And,
I hope that's restricted to renewable electric. If we can do anything to save the country, that's something.
Well,
that was a joke.
Yes, it was, and a mighty fine joke among the liberals in the Northeast of the United States. But we do have a problem. I mean, you talk about entropy prevails. We are going downhill fast, and it's all because of the Biden administration and their, as I say, calcified intellect in how they want to control things, but they are incapable of controlling anything other than driving it into destruction.
If I may just add one thing, I think Dave and Graham touched upon natural gas and then also energy reliance. This is the thing. It's not only relying on foreign markets for energy. The United States is shipping the energy it has left. So Europe right now, they're turning to the United States for a lot of liquefied natural gas. So they want about 80% of their imports will come from the United States. But guess what? The U.S. cannot satisfy soaring domestic demand coupled with soaring foreign demand. You already look at the EIA storage report data just from today, and you see that the natural gas inventories are below the 5-year historical average. Also, there's not a lot of terminal infrastructure to ship that much liquefied natural gas to Europe. So, the U.S. is going to be running out of natural gas because Europe is going to be demanding more of it. And they can't turn to Russia because that's their main plan is moving away from Russia. And then, Biden, he's begging a lot of foreign markets to give a lot of their LNG to Europe. And if they do that, who knows? In the meantime, Europe's going to have to depend solely on the United States for a lot of its LNG, and the U.S. can't afford it.
During the Trump administration, when we were in fact energy independent, we did have the capability to make a significant contribution to Europe. How is it that we can't do that or recover that in the future?
Andrew, the only thing I can say is I'm glad I don't know nearly as much about the economics of this as you did, or I would never, ever get out of bed. But let's ask ourselves this question. Are these the decisions of a benevolent, compassionate leader or that of a stubborn, cold-hearted extremist? Thanks, panel. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform. YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, we're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, surf on over to libertynation.com. Join us in the member zone, just $17.76 for the entire year. Special thanks to our fantastic editor and post coordinator, Frank Diorio, and our executive producer, Sarah Cowgill. I'm Lisa K. Donner, editor-in-chief. Thanks for joining us today. This has been a production of libertynation.com, where truth is making a comeback.